An AI agent, since it has a lot of capabilities, right, to do a particular task, we at SciSpace have defined a particular default behavior for an agent. So for example, if you say hi to the SciSpace AI agent, there is a specific way in which it is going to respond. So that is the default behavior for the agent. If you give it a particular task, let's say find papers regarding cancer, okay, the AI agent is told as a default behavior to use all the possible databases that it has access to and find the most relevant papers. So for example, in this case, for the cancer topic, it will choose SciSpace full text, it will choose Google Scholar, it will choose PubMed. Now it will choose 4 databases to figure out what are the most relevant papers related to cancer. Maybe you intended to use only PubMed, right? But since you haven't mentioned that in your context that you pass to the AI agent, it will default to its default behavior that it has been configured with. So it will choose all the 4 databases and it will find the most relevant paper. So whenever you want to control the behavior of the agent, you will have to provide specific instructions to it so that it follows the path that you intend it to and not just resort to its default behavior. So whenever the agent is not told exactly what it has to do, it will resort to its default behavior. And maybe that would be a very generic output that you may not like. Okay, so we'll come to the way in which how we can provide the accurate, or the most intended behavior that the agent should follow so that it gives you the targeted output that you need. Right. So one framework that we follow at SciSpace internally as well is the core framework, right? Uh, so this is the framework that guides all our prompts that we write at SciSpace. This also guides the SciSpace AI agent and how we interact with other internal products to get our day-to-day work done, right? So this framework that is the abbreviation for this is called core, so that it is very easy to remember. Many people have come up with their own various abbreviations to do the same thing, but this is what has been working well for us over the past year, and this is what I wanted to put it out there in the world so that even our users know how to make the best use of this framework, right? Yeah. So we'll look at some of the examples as well where how we incorporate this framework, right? So coming to the C in core, right? So C stands for the context. So where you give the background and the necessary data to an AI agent, right? So for example, maybe like you want to write a report, right? And that report is something that you want to submit as part of your assignment. So that is a background that this is a report which is going to get submitted as an assignment. Maybe you have initially written a draft of this report, which you want the AI agent to work with. So that is your raw data that you can attach. So background and raw data, these are just the 2 examples of what the context can constitute, right? The background can be as long as possible, as detailed as possible. The more detailed it is, the more better it would be. Then coming to the O part, which is the output. So how do you want the output to be? You said that you want a report, right? Now the report can be in various formats. Maybe the report that you want should be a Word file. Maybe it should be a LaTeX file. Maybe it should be a PDF file. Maybe you want to create a PowerPoint presentation out of it. So there can be n number of ways in which the output should be. Maybe you want to, instead of one file, you want to create 2 files for each chapter. Maybe you want to write it in chapter format and each one should be a different chapter, right? So there can be n number of ways in which the output should be structured. If you don't mention it, the agent will make its own assumption and it will give out an output which works generally best for anyone, right? But when you want to when you want the agent to pick a certain file format or an output format, this is how you mention it, in the O part, which is the output part. Then coming to the role, right? So role plays a very important role in like how the agent behaves, right? So for example, let's say you uploaded a file and you want it to be critically analyzed, right? So you have to give it that perspective, right? So maybe you have to tell it that you are a critic of this paper, or maybe you want to get it peer reviewed. So you will have to mention that you are a peer review researcher who is going to review the research that I have done, and here is my research. So that completely changes how the AI agent is going to look at your report, from what perspective, and that tremendously changes the direction of the output that has been generated. Then coming to E, exclusions, what to avoid. Since the agent is very, very capable and there are no limits to where it can go, it is always better to mention upfront where it should not go. So a simple example was when which I gave, right? Find papers on cancer. The agent is going to choose all the available databases and find you the best paper out there, or best papers which are related to cancer, because that is its default behavior. It wants to give out the best output out there. But let's say if you don't want to include Google Scholar in your search, you will have to specifically mention that, hey, don't search papers on Google Scholar. Those are not the ones which I want. Or maybe you don't want it to search archive, because those are preprints. Maybe it is not relevant for the topic of cancer, but let's say you give a topic which is relevant for archive, then and the agent is going to go to archive as well, right? You don't want all of those preprints. You don't want papers which were published before 2010. You only want the latest papers. So we'll have to mention what those exclusions are. So yeah, so simply CORE, you give you whenever you give an input to the AI agent, and whenever it's a very high stakes situation where you want a very particular output, you make sure that all of your prompts constitute these four things. Okay, moving to the next slide, right? So we'll see the difference between a lazy prompt and a core prompt, right? How the output shifts, how the agent behaves, and where it goes, right? So I have pre-run some of the queries just before the webinar so that we don't spend time during the webinar in going through this. So this is a lazy prompt, okay, where I have said that write about the impact of extreme heat on cognitive function. So when, as a user, when you look at this, right, you will feel that, okay, yeah, this is good enough. I asked it to write impact of extreme heat on cognitive function. But there are so many assumptions the AI agent is going to make and come up with an output. Let's say if this was not SciSpace and it was just a traditional LLM that you're talking to, right? What it is going to do is the best in that case, when you say it to write, right? It will just generate some text. That's it. There is no file that it is going to generate, right? But since the SciSpace AI agent is tremendously capable, it can write any type of file. So you don't know what it is going to come up with, but it will come up with some type of file which is generally acceptable, not some weird format which you are not aware of. But it will be a generic format that it will come up with. And when you say the impact of extreme heat on cognitive function, right? We have not mentioned any more details here. So it is a very broad topic. We have not mentioned like what type of humans are we talking about. Are we even talking about humans or animals, or are we talking about particular geography? Are we talking about particular cognitive function? So there are so many things that have been left out here, and the agent is allowed to make its own assumptions. So it goes in its own fashion and manner and tries to search papers related to it, and so it has come up with its own question. And this is also a very generic question: what are the effects of extreme heat exposure on cognitive function, cognitive performance, mental performance, attention, memory, decision making, and reaction time? So it has made the topic that you are given a little broad to find a lot of papers related to it, but the specificity is completely missing from this. Okay, so the answer sorry, let me just reload this. Yeah, so it went ahead and searched these four databases which are relevant to this topic. It combined all of those papers. It found nearly 91 papers, and then it generated a report. Okay, the report that it chose to generate is in a Markdown format. So if you see this, this is a .md, which is a Markdown format, and this is the format which the AI agent loves to work with, right? And it came up with a decently good report, right? Now this is in no means a bad report. It is a very good report which references 30 papers which are the top papers relevant to this particular topic, and it has come up with a report. Now but maybe this is something that doesn't work for everybody, right? If you are just interested in broadly knowing about this topic, this is good enough. This is just lazy discovery prompt that you have written, and the AI agent has come up with an output, right? But what happens when we transform this to a particular core prompt, right? So here is a core prompt. Okay, so this is where I have mentioned the role. So you always mention role first. So I have asked it to act as a particular senior environmental health scientist, okay, in occupational health and neurobiology. Then I am giving it the context. So what is the purpose of asking this question? So it is very clear that I'm writing a white paper on necessity of climate adaptive workplace policies. So this completely changes how the AI agent is going to think about this topic, right? So just mentioning impact of extreme heat on cognitive function could mean a lot of things, but now it is very specific. It is about workplace policies. Okay, I need you to research and synthesize information regarding the impact of heat, uh, and here it is clearly mentioned. What does extreme heat mean? These are ambient temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius. And here it clearly mentions the human cognitive functions in healthy adults. So this is very, very, very specific context. It can be more specific than this. There is no doubt. Given what your research topic is, you can be as detailed as possible. Then comes to the output part. Please provide a structured literature review in docx format. So this is the format that as a researcher I want. The report must include following sections. So I have also told it what is the format that I want the report to be in, and what are the sections that the report should contain, right? Then coming to the exclusions. Here it is clearly mentioned what type of what to not include. So for example, I don't want elderly populations or children. I just want to focus on working age adults. I don't want studies which are published before 2015. Usually, why should I mention exclusions? And you can question that why not just mention inclusions, right? Because in a lot of cases, it is very clear what I don't want. Uh, as compared to what I want. Okay. So that's why we at SciSpace, we follow this philosophy of mentioning exclusions and not really inclusions, unless and until it is very clear what the inclusions are, right? So if you're very clear as to what your inclusion should be, you can mention both inclusions and exclusions very well. But generally, it is very easy to write exclusions instead of writing a very long list of inclusions. So yeah, so it takes in all of this context, and then does a very detailed, it then defaults to doing a deep search. So in the earlier case where it found 91 papers, here it found 187 papers. Since it is very clear now what to do, it can default to deep search as well. And just using deep search, it found 258 papers. So tremendously high and very good quality output. Then it goes and generates the report. And the report that it generates is in the docx format. So this is the docx format which I can download and view this report. And since we have mentioned to follow particular structure to the docx format, it will write this docx format in this particular structure. So writing your prompts just in the core format gives you tremendously good output, right? So I see a lot of people, you can, go via the lazy format. You can just start with this and wait for it to complete and then realize that, oh, I should have asked for this instead of this. Oh, the agent has gone in a very different direction than what I want. And you can then, as a follow-up, steer the agent towards a direction that you want, right? But you would be wasting your time, your energy, and your credits on SciSpace to get the output that you desire, right? So the core framework helps you be on track. And I would say, at least for me, it improves my efficiency by 3x whenever I follow this approach and get things out of the various AI agents that I use. Okay, so prompt writing in the code format is one, I would say, out of all of these best practices, the most important practice. Okay. But then there are other approaches which are evolving and are very new to the present advancements that we have with, especially with AI agents, right? So what are those? What is the next thing? The next thing is making a plan. Okay. The traditional LLM cannot make a plan. You give a very good prompt to it, it will start directly outputting text for you. But the AI agent is inherently built to create a plan and follow that plan. What does a plan do? It divides your very complex tasks into, attainable steps, and it keeps the AI agent on track to achieve those steps one by one. So let's see that in action, right? So what I have done is I have again followed the core framework, and in this, I have kept the same topic. So across this webinar, I have chosen the topic of extreme heat impact on cognitive functions, right? So in this case, I have given it a role of strategic ops lead for a multinational corporation expanding in Southeast Asia. Okay, where we are proposing a new regional headquarters where the temperatures average 35 degrees Celsius. The board of directors is hesitant to approve the budget for level 5 climate adaptive infrastructure. I need to present a decision support package that justifies this investment based on human performance metrics. Very detailed role and very detailed context. Okay, coming to the output. What output do I want? I want a downloadable briefing document that convinces the board. What should the package include? It should have all of these components into a single file. The evidence base, I mentioned what the evidence base should be, a visual concept, and an ROI projection. So 3 things. And then the exclusions. The change which I have done is that I have added one magical line, which is to plan and complete this task. Just this one line, even if the prompt is so long, you add this one line and the SciSpace AI agent will default to planning. Okay. It is not that if you don't add this line, the SciSpace AI agent won't plan, but it is left to the default behavior of the agent, whether it wants to plan or not. But whenever you as a user want the AI agent to plan for you, you can always ask it to plan and complete the task. So what it does is it creates a plan for you. Now, here you will know what it is going to do even before it starts doing something. So it will conduct a comprehensive literature review, then extract insights, then create a visualization, do an ROI analysis, and then create a final briefing document. Maybe this is what you wanted, or maybe this is not what you wanted. Okay. Whenever you look at this todo.md which the agent has generated and you feel that, okay, no, this is not what I want, you can course correct the agent then and there by typing a follow-up question. It is not that you have to wait for the agent to complete its execution and then type something, right? So this gives you a chance especially in very long running tasks, a very detailed task that you're given it to agent, to course correct it so that it goes in a manner which you want, which you intend. So once it makes a plan, it goes on and does tasks for each one of these. So for example, it will first do evidence-based creation. It will conduct the step one, which is the literature search, then visual concept creation. It uses the right tools, which is uh, image generation, and creates a image. Then it does ROI analysis. So it creates a report which has the ROI projection and the final briefing document. And this is the package which it has prepared, the PDF file. So this is the complete package. Which contains all the deliverables that we asked. So this is the beauty of planning. So let's say in a scenario where you had not asked it to plan, right? The AI agent, let's say, doesn't use a planner, and maybe it does the same things that we asked, that it has prepared a plan for. But you won't be aware of like what it is going to do next after, let's say, it starts and does literature search, right? You don't know what it is going to do next after literature search. But if you ask it to create a plan, you are assured upfront that these are the steps that it is going to follow, and you will have much more confidence on the AI agent as to what it is going to do. So this is the step number 2 on how to get better, especially with the AI agent. Now, this is something that doesn't work with the traditional. This is specifically for an AI agent, which has capability to plan. Okay, then coming to the third thing, right? And this is something which I see a lot of users, doing this, and a lot of people are really not aware of this. So the AI agent is nothing but it's a program, and programs work with files which are efficient in their data flow. And as a researcher, I know that we are used to working with PDFs, .ras files, .bigtext file, or very complicated .docx files, right? So .pdf and .docx are most used formats through which people provide the raw data to the agent. I'm not saying that those are not good inputs to an AI agent. The SciSpace AI agent can work with any type of file that you are going to provide. Ultimately, it has access to a computer and it can write programs, right? So it can work with any type of file that you are going to provide to it. So there is no limitation in the capability of the SciSpace AI agent. But is it really the efficient way? No. So basically, given a choice, so let's say you have written some content in, let's say, Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Okay, you have a choice to download it in the docx format, attach to the agent, and ask it to do something. Or you also have an option to download the content in a plain textual format, which is Markdown format, .txt format, right? What difference does it make? So I'll demonstrate an example for you as to what difference does it make. Uh, so what I have done is I have written some text in Google Docs, and I have first downloaded it in the Markdown format. And I have said that give me executive summary of the attached document. The AI agent directly reads this Markdown file and outputs the executive summary. So this is the summary that it has given. And there is another chat which I did with the AI agent where I pasted the same content, but instead of a Markdown format, it is in a docx format, which is what we use, okay, which is generally very widely used. And I asked it to generate an executive summary. First, what it is going to do is it is going to convert the Word document to a readable format. Word documents, PDFs are something which the AI agents or any program cannot read directly. So it will use the computer which it has, and it will run some commands and then finally read the file. So it took 4 extra commands for it to finally read the file which you have given it. Each command will lead to loss of time and loss of credits. Okay. And then it generated the output. So this is a very simple thing, but it saves a lot of time and a lot of credits. So the difference between this thread, which I executed, and this thread, which I executed, the amount of credits that were spent on the docx thread were 3.5x times of the credits that were spent on the Markdown thread. So there is a tremendous difference. Now imagine doing this day over day, coming to the AI agent and asking it to do something, right? You will save a lot of time and a lot of credits with the AI agent. And usually we don't have a choice. Maybe we have to give it in a docx format. I'm not talking about those situations, but when we really have a choice, when it is just textual content that we want to provide to the AI agent, it is always better to give in a plain textual format. uh, this is no means an argument whether the SciSpace AI agent is capable of working with the file formats or not. It is very well capable, but it is about how we make the best use of the SciSpace AI agent. Okay. Then coming to the next part about attachments, right? So what I have seen is that a lot of users they download the PDF files of various research papers, and there is no default convention that is followed in naming the files as well. As simple as that. You might download it from some publisher's website, and it will have some unique name and .pdf, right? That is the file name. And users come and upload those files to the SciSpace AI agent, and they'll ask something out of the SciSpace AI agent. It will be able to get you the output that you intend, and generate uh, uh, the output that was required, right? But what is a better way to go about the same thing is what I would demonstrate with a simple example, right? So what I have done is, in this case, I have attached 10 markdown files, and each one has some context. And then I have said that using only the file directory above to guide your search, please answer the following 3 questions. Do not scan the files that are clearly unrelated to the specific topic in the question. So first one, I have asked it regarding tech, according to the files, which specific biomarker drops 20 minutes before cognitive fatigue sets in. Second, there is a question regarding diet, and there is a question regarding liability. Okay. Now, what will the AI agent do? Does it know which file contains what? It doesn't. Do the file names convey what they contain? No. By default, it started reading all the files. It first read the first 5 files and said that, oh, I found the answer to the first question. Now let me read the remaining files to answer the second and third question. So it went ahead and read all the 10 files, which was really unnecessary. And then it answered correctly. So even if you don't give it the proper context, it will be able to do the task. There is no doubt in that. And it gave answer to all the 3 questions, which was correct. Okay. Then there is another prompt, which again I followed the core framework. But here, what I have done is I have given proper naming convention to all of the files. So I have mentioned like what topic is addressed in each one of these files. And then I have in the prompt also given it proper context, right? So context from core C is very important, where I have mentioned what each file contains. So I mentioned 10 files and what each one of them contains. And I have given it the same task. And following the core framework, I have also asked it mention the output format as well. In this case, it read only those 4 files which are related to these three questions and give me the answer. Now, this is a very simple example, but you can extend it to the day-or-day task that you ask the SciSpace AI agent to do, right? You might go back. A lot of you have used the SciSpace AI agent, and you can see the difference. Where you have clearly mentioned what each file contains. Just a line or two, right, which guides the SciSpace AI agent. This is no means a magic silver bullet that it is going to tremendously change the way you're working with the SciSpace AI agent. But through these examples, I want to inculcate how the SciSpace AI agent, works or thinks when you provide the context. How the right context shifts the behavior of the agent, how you can keep it on track to what you want and save yourself a lot of time and a lot of credits. Okay. Then coming to the next point, right? So, like I mentioned, what constitutes a context, right? The context window constitutes the uh, all the attachments that you give to the AI agent, the prompts that you give to the AI agent, and the outputs that it is going to generate, right? So, for example, in this thread, which is named attachment context, the context window will contain all of these 10 files, this prompt, and then all of these output. So this is the context window right now of this particular AI agent. Now, when you ask another question, that will also get added as a context. So each message and each output will get stacked in this particular thread. And as you talk more and more and more and more in this particular thread, the thread will keep on getting larger and larger and larger and larger. Slowly, the AI agent is going to remember less and less of what the initial conversation was, what was its role, what it was initially meant to do. And you will see that after, let's say, the general rule of thumb is that after 15 uh, follow-up questions that you give to the AI agent, the quality starts to dip a little bit. And that is a cue to start a new chat with the AI agent. I know as a user, we must have invested a lot of energy in providing the right context to the AI agent, building the right context so that you can ask more and more questions out of it. But a lot of users are unaware that after a point in time, the quality of any AI agent out there or any LLM out there starts to dip once the context window keeps on getting larger. So you have to be very mindful of how much content you are going to provide the AI agent, and what you should exclude, right? Whatever is really unnecessary, exclude. Let's say, for example, you have a PDF of a research paper, let's say, and or maybe like 10 research papers, right? And you know that you want the common references which are part of all of these research papers, right? So one lazy way is that I will upload all of these 10 PDFs and I'll ask it, tell me which references are common across all of these 10 research papers. That is one way to do it. Second way is that I'll go and put in some extra effort. Instead of providing the whole research paper to the AI agent, I will only keep those pages in the PDF file which mention the references. Now that lowers the context size of this particular thread, and the output quality of the AI agent dramatically increases, right? If you give it the whole PDF, it will have to read the whole PDF, find out where the references section is, then extract the references section, for do this for each one of these 10 PDFs, and then start doing the actual task which it was meant to do. Instead, if you put in some effort at your end to reduce the context, it will be able to dramatically increase the output that it uh, provides, right? So be mindful of what you are providing to the AI agent. Think at least once before providing a lot of files, very large files. a lot of PDFs people provide, which are just scanned PDFs, which are not really relevant to the task that the AI agent is really doing, right? So that is another tip. Let's say if you, I have also seen people, in the same thread, they keep on asking like different tasks out of the AI agent, right? There is no limit on number of threads that you can start with an AI agent on SciSpace, right? So let's say, even while demonstrating in this webinar, right, various things, I have, you know, generated a new thread for each one of them. So for example, when I wanted to show you how the planner works, I generated a new thread. When I wanted to show you how textual files help, I have generated a new thread. So whenever you are doing a different task altogether, which was unrelated to the earlier task, generate a new thread. You don't want the AI agent to have the context of the earlier task that it has done, right? Which is really unrelated. So try to optimize the context in a particular thread, keep it minimal, and for every new task that you do, start a new thread. Yeah. So those were the 5 things, which I really wanted to take you through. The first one is the core framework through which you write the prompt. Second is asking the AI agent to plan whenever where it is a high stakes, long running task that you are given to the SciSpace AI agent. The file formats which the agent prefers are textual file formats. Whenever possible, when the context is just text, provide these type of file formats. When you have given a lot of attachments, help the AI agent understand upfront what each one of those attachments says. And second is mindfully manage your context window. Yeah, I think this exercise was helpful. Uh, I hope that when you try out uh, the SciSpace AI agent next, you incorporate some of these techniques and you make the best use of the SciSpace AI agent out there.